So in this video, we are going to talk about how to keep a funded account. But instead of being just me talking, I decided to ask for an opinion of other 4 funded traders on how to keep a funded account in 2023. And these traders have shown over and over again, not only on their YouTube channels, but also on their Twitter, that they know what they're doing. So make sure to check all their links in the description, also with links for prop firms if that's what you're going for. But before that, I really want to start off with this one by Rafa Almeida, which is going to be linked in the description. And what he says is, number 1 tip for traders to stay funded is have an edge that you have data on. A spreadsheet that says your win rate, strike rate, how many losses in a row, how many wins in a row. Your live data won't be the exact same as your backtested sheet. However, this is just a sample and this will give you a boost in confidence to executing while sticking to one risk management. I think it's being told more often now on YouTube that you shouldn't go for funded accounts if you do not have a profitable edge. If you are a new trader, don't look into prop firm accounts. Maybe inform yourself, yes, but there's no need for you to be going for prop firm accounts because you are going to blow them. But this is a video about staying funded. And the most important thing, as Rafa says, is that you really need to understand your data of your strategy. Why? For 2 reasons. One of them is that you will be more prepared for if a losing streak comes. You understand, okay, this is just part of my edge, and you don't go onto that negative spiral of taking loss after loss because you become emotional. So risk management goes out of the way and you've blown the funded account. So the number 1 tip that Rafa says is have data. And we've talked about this. Have the trading plan, backtest the trading plan, have all that data in front of you, and then you can understand your risk management, which is actually the 2nd tip, not only from Rafa, but also the 3 other traders that I asked. So you know that this is important. And so right now, this is where we go on to risk management. To tie this in with what Rafa said in his number 1 tip, you will only understand the perfect risk management for you by understanding your data. How do you know how to pass a challenge, which is what we are going to see that Riz said, without knowing your strike rate, your average risk to reward, average trades? And I've done a video on risk management, only risk management for prop firms. So check the link in the top right corner if you want to check that out. But let's go on to Riz's comment. And by the way, Riz has a great podcast. It's called Words of Wisdom. It's also going to be linked in the description. Great guests on there, so make sure to check it out. And what he said is, my number 1 tip would be risk management. Passing a challenge and verification can require to be aggressive due to the time restraints and targets to be hit. And this is where I said in the risk management video that by understanding how many trades you take, what's your average risk to reward, how much you care about losing a challenge, it's really going to dictate how much you are risking per trade. Because let's say, I don't risk 1% on the funded challenges. I also go for 2% because I know that I've been taking less trades, and because of that, I want to pass kind of quicker, but also more probably. While the funded account has no targeted or time restraints, therefore, risking minimal will keep you in the game. So say you have a 100k account, that's 10 trade losses at 1% risk. Risk 0.25% and you'll have 40 trades that would have to be lost in a row before breaking the max drawdown. If you're disciplined, the chances of you losing 40 trades in a row is extremely slim. And this is very true. And you know this if you have data, that if you're risking 0.25%, the probability of you losing the funded account is 0. Well, okay, it's not 0 because as Riz said, if you go out of your plan and if you're not disciplined, especially with your risk management, you can get all those losses in a row and lose the funded account. But think about it. How many times during 5 years of your backtesting data did you have 40 trades that were losers in a row? Very slim. Does this mean that you will not have drawdown? No. Does this mean that you will not have like drawdown that is going to take some time to get out of? Also no. It's possible, but the idea here is to keep the funded account while also having good returns. So let's say that your average return on investment is 5R per month. If you have a 100k account and you're making 5R by risking 0.25%, then you're making $1,250 every month. That's not too bad. That's basically a normal wage everywhere. Maybe not, but I really do believe that if you look at prop firms as a stepping stone, and that you will not only have a 100k account, you will not only have a 200k account. The possibilities are almost limitless because there's so many prop firms out there. So you can stack these up, and then 0.25% risk might already be like $2,500 per hour if you have 1 million in prop firm trading, for example. And again, I think Riz's comment was really good because the goal is to not lose the funded account. Now let's go on to trader Tristan. Again, also links in the description. They're just like casual great traders that you see on Twitter, so make sure to give them all a follow. Yeah, so what I do is just lower risk 0.5 per trade on all trades. The harsh reality is 10% drawdown is not a lot, so risking 1% a trade is just too much. You're going to encounter losing streaks. Everyone does, they just don't talk about it. This is key. This is key for social media. And if you're risking 1%, chances are you will blow your account. So lower risk. And again, I really do believe that this is crucial advice and everything ties in, which is if you understand your data, if you know your average losing streak, if you know your average winning streak, it will keep you grounded much more often than not. And even though you have $100,000 to you in a 100K account, you only have 10% drawdown, 12% drawdown, whatever it is. So if you take that into account, what's the probability of you losing 10 trades in a row? It's possible. What about 20? Less possible. What about 30? Even less possible. So once again, lowering risk is the way to go. And I want to emphasize once again what Tristan said. Be careful with what you see on social media because it's very deceiving. You think people only win, but they don't post about their losing streaks. So whatever other people are showing you on Twitter, on YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is, they're showing you the good side of their trading, which makes you feel less competent when you are in a losing streak. But I wrote something very interesting about this, and let me read that to you. So this is what I wrote, and I was feeling this a lot at the moment. I'm not very skeptical of other people's success, which can be a detriment since on social media we mostly see other people's success, profitable trades, and I'm left with myself, the full scope of my experience. And that can be hard when the expectations are high due to seeing other people's success. And what I mean by this is that while you only see other people's success, you are left with only yourself, with your reality. You don't know my reality. I don't know yours. I don't know any people's reality because we're not them. And what ends up happening is that since you only see part of it, you believe that that's their reality, you compare it to yours, and you feel inadequate. And this is why you have to be very careful on social media and take Tristan's advice on everyone takes losing streaks, they just don't talk about it. Then last but not least for risk management, we have Omar. Number one way to stay funded is reduce risk significantly. I would argue to only do 0.3% of the account, which really translates to about 3% of your overall risk drawdown. Very true, because you only have 10% of the account really. So if you're risking 1%, you're basically risking 10. And focus on scaling up your equity so the money can translate to bigger numbers. Again, as I said, 0.25% might not seem like a lot when you are trading a 100K account, but it's much more if you're trading a million. So focus on getting consistent, stacking up more prop firms on top of each other, which will then make the 0.25% really meaningful for your life. Risking 1% of the account, you are bound to potentially get in a big drawdown at some point, which may cause tilt. Very true. I've experienced this. So that's my number one tip on staying funded. And again, I appreciate everyone that responded to this DM. Make sure to check all the links in the description. And yeah, I completely agree. Once again, risk management is number one. Think about how much of the drawdown you are risking every time you are taking a trade. Are you risking 1% or are you really risking 10% of all the drawdown that you have? And we really just need to think about the long term, which is stacking prop firm after prop firm after prop firm. That's what a very profitable trader does, and that's what a long-term thinker would do. So now we also have Angelo, the CEO of The Funded Trader, and I asked him this question too because he has the data on this. And if you want to check out The Funded Trader, check the link in the description. Basically what he says is number one tip would be every time you receive a payout, leave 25% of it in your account so that you effectively increase your max drawdown and chances of keeping the account alive. Because this also ties in with everything that everyone else said, that if you have more money in the account and you have a small buffer, don't keep everything in it. You want to pay yourself. But if you have that extra money in the account, that means you have a bigger overall drawdown, which means that in proportion, you will also be risking less every time you are taking a trade. And this comes from the CEO of a prop firm. And I know that some of you are going to be like, of course he wants us to have more money in the account so we can lose it. And that's true, but he also has a point. So I really wanted to talk about that point too. And last but not least, it's my 2 cents, which is get a fuck you approach to prop firms, because the less you care and the less you need to pass prop firms, and this is why a lot of people recommend you not going full-time trading as soon as you have a little bit of money or a little bit of consistency in trading or your first prop firm. Why? Because you're putting more pressure on yourself. You need to perform, and every time you need to perform, you feel more pressure once again, which may take you into a drawdown, and after you're in drawdown, you're kind of like, fuck, I really need to get out of this drawdown. And if you start having more expenses, then all of a sudden you can't keep up, and this can just be a very big negative spiral. So the more of a fuck you approach you have to prop firms, the more you're just like, you know what, like, of course it would be great to pass, but I'm not really that fussed about it. Every time I had that mentality, I always passed. And so my recommendation would definitely be have a cash buffer on the side as a trader, have a job if possible, and slow and steady wins the race. So the less you care, the less it will affect you, and the less it's going to control you. Because this is a Buddhist saying, the more you try to control something, the more it controls you. Free yourself and let things take their own natural course. So the more you try to control your wins, your losses in your trading, the more you try to control the outcome of the prop firm, the more it's going to control you. The more a loss is going to affect you, the more a win is going to affect you, the more emotional you are going to be. Really thank all of you. If you want to check the links in the description for prop firms, they're also there with codes. And I want to leave you with this quote: don't take yourself too seriously. You're just a monkey with a plan. This was said by Naval. Love you all. Bye.